All right, in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to take our parent graphs here, our linear, quadratic, cubic, square root, and absolute value functions, and we're going to reflect them, write the equation that reflects them over the x-axis in green and over the y-axis in black. Okay, so to reflect it over our x-axis, we're going to put a negative on the outside of our function. Okay, so this is negative x. And I'll show you what inside and outside means when we get to some of the other ones where it's a little more apparent. Eventually we'll have to add some parentheses to indicate these insides and outsides. And the quadratic function, if I wanted to flip this over the x-axis, what this would do is we would have f of x equals negative x squared. Okay, and again, what that's doing is it flips it, or reflects it, I should say, over our x-axis. For the cubic function, f of x equals negative x to the third. Square root f of x equals, now here you can kind of see on the inside, I'm not going to put my negative, it's going to go on the outside of this square root here. That's one way I mean the inside-outside thing. Same thing for the absolute value, f of x equals negative absolute value of x. It's on the outside of that. And those are all reflected over our x-axis. If I want to reflect over the y-axis, I'm going to use a black marker to show you what it will do with this one. Here we're going to have f of x, so compared to our original, we're going to stick it in parentheses like this. Okay? Now, obviously this happens to be the same graph for the linear function, but some of the others are a little more interesting. If I do the quadratic function, for example, f of x equals parentheses negative x, excuse me, and then square, where it's on the inside of this. So now this negative or negative 1 is affected by the square. Right? In the cubic function, f of x, if I reflect it over the y-axis, is going to be parentheses negative x raised to the third. And then the square root is going to be f of x equals, here it's going to go on the inside of our square root sign, the inside of the function. So negative x, like that. And then lastly, the absolute value, we're going to have f of x equals the absolute value of negative x, which if you think about that one, the absolute value of x and the absolute value of negative x is going to be the same function. Because it just reflects over this y-axis. Right? This side will flip over here, this side will flip over there, and you end up with what you had the original. So some of these three, the red, green, and black, are going to be the same as each other, but others are going to be quite different, as you can see what I demonstrated with flipping over the x-axis for our quadratic function.